So we've got this little room, this small scene that's set up for custom poses. In this particular instance, what we've done, so let's just hide the meshes for the moment. So what we've done is set this up because the focus is on the street lamp. All the seat nodes are focused around that object, skeleton.room. So all the seat nodes are positioned relative to that because in this instance we're going to create custom poses. So we've got all the seat nodes set up relative to skeleton.room, which is focused obviously on the street lamp. And the reason for this is because this is a central object of focus and we don't necessarily need seat nodes to be positioned anywhere else in the scene, because what we can do is set the poses up in such a way that the pose itself is the positional element. So we can, the upshot of that is that we can drop the seat nodes in the same location and just reposition the avatars relative to where they need to stand in relation to our scene and our primary objects. So we've got this set up with all the usual elements. These are the default components of a furniture room. So we're using the furniture room tool. So those are our cameras. We've got an extra light, which is a spotlight, an omni light, omnidirectional light. Then we've got our furniture nodes. And then of course we've got our seat nodes. So these are set up for custom poses. So they have the custom append. In this case it's co-op. So each one of these are the catchers and pitchers. And the handles obviously their names don't change, it's just catcher and pitcher and the seat node. So we've got all of that set up. So what do we need to do in order to make custom poses for this? Well, all we need to do, let's unhide the mesh. So select the meshes that are going to be our reference points for the poses and just one of the seat nodes. In this particular instance, again, because we have the focus around skeleton.room, we don't necessarily need to import skeleton.room, but let's just select that. So there's a seat and skeleton.room. So that's all we need. Just going to wireframe to make that easy to see. We don't need anything else. Copy objects. So object, copy objects. New scene, don't save, new tool. So we want to open the animation tool, append animation file, and then all we need to do is object, paste objects, and that will drop everything into place around the rig for the poses. And again, because we are using the pose, or the pose that we will create, as our position location information, we can now keep everything in place. So these are our seat nodes, and just pose the avatar around that. So switch to pose mode. Select all. Shift click female O3 master root, move that to one side, rotate, and then we are positioning the avatar relative to our object. So when we're posing, we want to make sure that female O3 master root, or the control for that, so that's female root, that stays put because that's the anchor to the seat node. So those don't move. We move everything else. And then all we need to do is the same process that we would normally do for a pose. is just pose the avatar. And of course we have to remember to turn on auto key. If we don't do that, we can select all and just click on add key, and that will drop in all the keyframes for the bones that are selected. And that's all we need to do. And then of course we just export the pose and associate that when we assemble it in IMVU. And if we need to create multiple poses, what we want to do is name. So let's call this park_1.pose. Click the shield so the data stays in place, and then click the file button, which will duplicate the pose that we have. We'll call this pose 2. Click the shield again, single user, and then what we can do with this is select all, shift click female 03 root, move that to the other side, create a new pose. Oops. And this can then be exported as a secondary pose. So when we're creating additional poses, all we need to do is essentially duplicate an existing pose, rename, so that we now have, so if we exit this object mode, we can then toggle between the poses so that we can see what we're doing, and we have multiple poses. And it's the same thing for animations. So if this was an animation, we would create the animation and do the same process.